Welcome back to Upper 90, where today I'll be predicting every MLS club's 2023 Player of the Season. And as an MLS journalist, if I can't get at least half of these right, that would be embarrassing. So let's get right into it, starting, of course, with Atlanta United, and their Player of the Season will be Thiago Almada. And all you really need to do is watch their season opener to understand why he is undoubtedly the pick here. I do have faith in their new DP striker signing, Georgios Giakoumakis, to have a good season, and he was my newcomer of the year prediction. However, Thiago Almada is just so class, and in my opinion, will be the most expensive outgoing transfer in MLS history. For Austin FC, it's an easy one in captain Sebastian Driussi, who nearly won the league MVP last season, bagging 30 goal contributions across the league season, and I actually did vote for him for MVP, though Hani Mukhtar, fully deserving, won it. Fagundes and Rigoni are obviously quality players, but Sebastian Driussi will be Austin's Player of the Season once again. Charlotte FC are off to a rough start this season, but the player that I think will have the most impact is not Karol Swiderski, it's not their new striker Enzo Capetti, but it is their new 32-year-old midfielder Ashley Westwood. I really don't see Swiderski or Capetti having a great year simply because I don't think Charlotte are that great, and going forward you need quality in order to get high-level goal contributions. But Ashley Westwood, since joining this Charlotte team, has been a game changer in midfield, giving them the control, balance, and experience that they have been lacking in the middle of the park. So for me, he will be the biggest difference maker in Charlotte this season. Chicago Fire, of course, sold young stars Gaga Slonina and John Duran, leaving their only real star in Xherdan Shaqiri. But he, for me, doesn't really produce the type of numbers that would warrant a Player of the Season in MLS. So I'm going to go with Chris Brady, the next Gaga Slonina, who has now probably earned that starting spot in Chicago. And I think that he will have a breakout season. Chicago won't be very good, so as a goalkeeper, he'll be able to shine. It's really not great when your goalkeeper is your Player of the Season, obviously, but with Chris Brady, increasing that market value is a large win for Chicago in itself. So I'm going Chris Brady for their Player of the Season. FC Cincinnati have a star-studded attacking trio of Luciano Acosta, Brenner, and Brandon Vasquez. But of course, only one of them can win the Player of the Season, and my pick will be Luciano Acosta, because Brandon Vasquez and Brenner will be splitting the goals, while Luciano Acosta will be providing assists for both of them. Also, Brenner and Vasquez are both more likely to leave in the summer than Luciano Acosta, who I really don't see any chance of leaving, and therefore, over the entire season, Luciano Acosta is the most likely. Has to be my pick. Colorado Rapids Player of the Season will also be their goalkeeper, William Yarbrough, who obviously you don't want to be your Player of the Season, but he has been fantastic early on for Colorado, who I don't see being a very good team. I see them getting most of their points through Yarbrough keeping them in games. Columbus Crew is an interesting one because I predicted Cucho Hernandez to win Golden Boot and Lucas Zelarayan to win Playmaker Award, aka the most assists in MLS, and so far it's actually been Cucho assisting Zelarayan, but overall, I think it will be Zelarayan getting the majority of assists, Cucho getting the majority of goals, and goals get more recognitions than assists, so Cucho gets the Player of the Season for Columbus Crew. For DC United, Christian Benteke will get the focus up top as he bangs in the goals for DC United in their new look team. But the real difference in that new look for me is Mateus Klick. He is the reason that DC United are able to compete in the middle of the park now. He brings an incredible presence, not only defensively, but distributing going forward. He is key to the way that DC United want to play this season, and so for me, he will win a shock Player of the Season for them. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button. As an MLS journalist, I love providing this content for you all and would love your support in growing this channel. Thank you so much, and back to the video. FC Dallas have the best academy in the league, so of course I have to pick an academy product, Jesus Ferreira, who is also, of course, a U.S. men's national team striker, looking to prove that he is the best of that pool. But it will be an interesting one because, of course, he has Paul Arriola and Alan Velasco on those wings who could each win that Player of the Season award themselves. My prediction for the Houston Dynamo is 25-year-old Amine Bossi, the natural attacking midfielder, will play on the left wing for the Dynamo after being brought in from FC Metz for $1.5 million this offseason. He has been able to produce in Ligue 2, produce in the English Championship, and I expect him to be able to produce in MLS with both goals and assists. This is a big shout, but for me, Corey Baird is bang average on the opposite wing. Sebastian Ferreira is good, but not great through the middle. And Hector Herrera has been fantastic this season for Dynamo, but didn't really show that motivation last season, so I don't have the confidence to pick him over an entire year's span. Therefore, I have to go with the new signing, Amine Bossi, as Houston's Player of the Season. With Sporting Kansas City, it is a crapshoot based on who is actually going to stay healthy, but the player that I'm most confident in staying healthy is left winger Daniel Shalhoub at 26 years old. He's younger than both Russell and Pulido, who are 32, and Gadi Kinda, who is even 28, two of which are coming back from major injuries this season. Eric Tommy would be the other option, and I do think he's going to have a good season, but you never know with Daniel Shalhoub. He could pull a 2021 all over again. Moving to the defending champions, a week ago, most of you would have called me crazy for not picking captain Carlos Vela. But a week later, I think most of you will understand why I am picking 28-year-old Denny Bouanga, the natural left winger who shifts up to the number 9 position and to the right wing in that very fluid LAFC front three. Has scored 5 goals in LAFC's last 2 matches in all competitions. The Frenchman has announced himself to MLS, and he is just going to get better. Make no mistake about it, Denny Bouanga is an MVP candidate. For Galaxy, my pick has to be 23-year-old midfielder Riqui Puig, who is finally a designated player for the 5-time MLS Cup champions. He has not been very good early on this season, but he will improve and put his stamp on games throughout the season for Galaxy. Chicharito obviously will bang in the goals that he creates, but mostly Chicharito will only be able to bang in the goals that Riqui Puig creates. I can't wait to see what he has in store once he is able to get going, because to me, he is the most talented player probably in the entire league. Inter Miami's 2023 Player of the Season will be the greatest footballer of all time, Lionel Messi. Okay, yes, this is just a little bit of manifestation because I would love Messi in MLS, but make no mistake about it, Miami are in the race to sign him this summer, and if they are able to pull that off, he in just half a season will undoubtedly become Miami's Player of the Season. Otherwise, it'll probably be Joseph Martinez, but you heard it here first. Lionel Messi. With the departure of Reynoso from Minnesota, my predicted Player of the Season will be 29-year-old Robin Lod, who is now moving into that attacking midfielder position that Reynoso vacated, rather than moving all around as he was last season. I think that will benefit him numbers-wise, and he will also do more defensive work than pretty much any cam in the entire league, so he deserves their Player of the Season for 2023. On to CF Montreal, and am I allowed to pick nobody? No, just kidding. I'll pick somebody. I guess I'll go with Kamal Miller. He is their best defender. They're going to be defending a lot this season because they're not very good. So simple as that. Kamal Miller, CF Montreal Player of the Season for 2023. For Nashville, I think there's only one choice. The reigning MVP, Hani Mukhtar, will once again be their Player of the Season in 2023. On to the next. New England seem to be bouncing back from their poor form last season, but the one player that is consistently fantastic for them is their captain, Carles Gil. He will always create tons of chances, bag a bunch of assists, and be in that running for their Player of the Season. The other player who could definitely win it is their goalkeeper, Petrovic, and if I thought New England were going to be worse than I do, I would pick him. But Carlos Heel will be getting those contributions going forward. I think New England will be a playoff level team, so he will get that player of the season just over Petrovic. For New York City FC, the pick is obvious to me. 20-year-old left winger, Talles Magno, and I'm making this pick assuming that they stop playing Magno in the number 9 position and move him back out onto the left wing where he is most dangerous. The only way I don't see him winning their player of the season is if for some reason New York City decide to sell him in the summer. Over in New Jersey, a lot of people will be picking Red Bull's new DP striker, Dante Vangier, though for me, I haven't seen enough just yet to be confident in that pick. Not quite confident in Luquinhas either, so I'm going to go with Lewis Morgan, who of course bagged 15 goals last season, and if he can get back to that number, or really close to that number, he should be winning their player of the season once again. Orlando City are a team that show a ton of ambition in the transfer market, continuing to bring in new star young players that could be huge contributors. But for me, I have to stick with the obvious pick in Facundo Torres because I think he is up there with Thiago Almada, looking to break the all-time MLS outgoing transfer record set by Miguel Almiron, of course. And I just think he's going to score and assist a bunch of goals for Orlando in a very solid season for them. Defending Eastern Conference champions Philadelphia Union got to the MLS Cup final on the basis of an extremely strong defense and a guy by the name of Daniel Gazdag, who scored 22 goals and tagged along 6 assists last season. If he comes anywhere near that once again, he will be their player of the season, so has to be my pick. In Portland, the obvious pick would be Evander, their new $10 million signing from FC Midtjylland, but I do think that he's needing a little bit of time to settle in. He will have a good season still, but I think we're going to see the best of Evander maybe next season and not this one. For that reason, I'm going to go with Juan David Mosquera, the fullback from Independiente Medellin, and I think that he is just extremely talented, and I don't think will be in Portland for long. He's solid defensively and can really contribute going forward, whether it be with a goal or creating chances for the attacking players in Portland. For Real Salt Lake, Damir Kreilach is back and will once again win their player of the season for 2023 after missing out on 2022. But don't forget what he did in 2021 with 24 goal contributions over that season. I don't think he'll hit that number quite, but will still win RSL's player of the season, followed closely by center back Justin Glad. For an underrated team in San Jose Earthquakes, my pick for player of the season is an underrated player, Jeremy Abobasi. He bagged 17 goals in 34 games last season for one of the worst teams in the league. And when you are scoring at a rate of a goal every 2 games, that is quality even when you're on a top team. Jeremy Abobasi is absolutely the most underrated striker in the league, and San Jose also have, in my opinion, the most underrated creative player in the league in Christian Espinoza, but I'm still going to go with Abobasi. The Seattle Sounders look back to their best this season, and I think that is in part due to one man by the name of João Paulo, who, of course, they lost last season in the CONCACAF Champions League final, and really weren't the same after that. I think that he is the key player for them, will be their player of the season in just the difference that he makes from last season to this season. It is so apparent. With expansion side St. Louis City, the focus will be on their number 9, João Klaus, who will score most of their goals, but their player of the season to me will undoubtedly be Edward Löwen, who is going to be the reason that St. Louis City are able to compete in MLS this season. I don't think there is a single player in the entire league who has the ability to play a defensive midfielder role and an attacking midfielder role to the level that Edward Löwen is able to. He is incredibly impressive thus far in MLS. Up to Canada and Toronto FC, where Lorenzo Insigne has gone out injured to start the season, and Federico Bernardeschi has been that main guy. However, preseason Lorenzo Insigne was my MVP pick, so I gotta stick with it. Lorenzo Insigne for Toronto FC Player of the Season. Last but not least, Vancouver Whitecaps, who I think are undoubtedly the strongest in their wide midfield positions, in Gressel, who I think is a great pickup, and the player I'm picking for their Player of the Season, Ryan Gauld. He picked up 13 goal contributions last season, and if he can do that once again for Vancouver, that would be a success for a team that I don't think is going to be very good, but he will be their Player of the Season. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel and allows me to make more MLS videos like these for you all. See you next time.